Actually. Oh, I will. I'm getting there. Hi, my name's Larry Vanawagen. I'm employed at Folsom Middle School, and I also live. And I'm going to miss a lot of you because I am leaving the state and moving out of the area altogether. So I won't be back to the board, okay? I won't be running for the board or anything, but I did want to come up here and address one thing. We got a beautiful staff, and you see the members, the members right here of our staff. They make Folsom Middle, and I really wanted to plug that in my retirement. And you give us the opportunity to do a lot of things, and I really appreciate it. So the board and the admin here. So thank you very much. I still got a minute. Anything else? Yeah. A lot of time here. Okay. Let's see. And doggone it, we got a new principal. We're going to get...
Well, we're going to get to that.
Oh, I know, but I don't get a chance. Okay, anyway. Thank you all very much. I really appreciate it. Okay, everything, I've been here for 20 years, 10 in Folsom High, and then come my home away from home, and then Folsom Middle, my other home. And I'm going to miss it really much. The great staff and great people. Thank you much.
Thank you. And we are going to miss you, Larry. And David, that confirms your theory about people who retire leaving the state.
Yep.
I know you've been asking people that. Okay. Next one on my list was Wendy Soul, who wants to be accompanied by, Sarah Kirby-Gonzalez is going to be accompanying her.
I'm really just after her minutes, so we're combining our cards.
Aren't you tricky?
I might go over. I'm a little long-winded, but good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to address the board this evening. My name is Wendy Saul, and I am the assistant principal at Navigator Elementary, as well as the National Board Network leader for Folsom Cordova Unified. I achieved my National Board certification as a middle childhood generalist in 2005 and renewed in 2015. National Board certification is the most respected professional certification available in education and provides numerous benefits to teachers, students, and schools. Achieving board certification is a rigorous process. We have some people who submitted some of their components last night at the midnight hour, and just wanted to tell them good job. And it's composed of multiple assessments. National Board is a set of teaching standards that gives teachers and schools the tools to define and measure teaching excellence. To achieve certification, teachers must give ample evidence through these assessments demonstrating they are accomplished educators, learners, collaborators, and definitely leaders. The process of certification is an amazing avenue for reflection, revision, and refinement of one's practice. It is a rigorous yet rewarding process, right? It's rewarding and rigorous. And we are thrilled to celebrate those who have persevered through the process and have achieved certification and renewal. I am pleased to announce our 4 newly certified MBCTs, which brings our district total to 35 active National Board certified teachers. 5 serve in an administrative position. Folsom Cordova has the highest number of National Board certified teachers in the Sacramento region. So that's an amazing accomplishment and amazing kudos to our district. I'd like to talk about Sarah Swenson. She's a teacher at Folsom High School. Sarah's certificate area is in adolescence and young adult English language arts. Sarah, if you could please come forward and be recognized. Let's give her a big hand. It's a big deal. You can stay up here with me if you like. Thank you. I want company.
Stop it.
Yeah.
And we have Jessica Mann. She teaches at Vista Del Lago High School. She also achieved certification in adolescence and young adult English language arts this year. She's not able to join us tonight because, like many of our National Board certified teachers, they're busy doing many, many things. So she's got something else going on tonight. We have Christy Zampuri, and she's an intervention specialist at Cordova Gardens. And she's certified in the subject area of exceptional needs specialist. She's also not able to join us tonight. And then our 4th newly certified National Board certified teacher is Charlie Gilmore. He's switched roles. He's now holding a position at the Sacramento County Office of Education. We also have 4 successful renewals of National Board certification. So renewal candidates submit their evidence of professional growth that has occurred within the last 10 years, beginning with their initial certification year. We have Sarah Kirby-Gonzalez. a 5th grade teacher at Mather Heights Elementary, and she renewed her certificate as a middle childhood generalist. And Sarah, if you could come up and be recognized, that would be great. We also have Dina Reeve of Folsom High School, having renewed her certification in adolescence and young adult English language arts. Dina, please come forward to be recognized. Terry English also renewed his certificate in middle childhood generalist. He is not able to be here this evening, as well as Kelly Hillsland. She's a teacher at Vista Del Lago, and she also renewed her certificate in adolescence and young adult English language arts. And to the board and superintendent, thank you so much for your continued support of National Board in Folsom Cordova. We appreciate your support and you standing behind us and believing in the process and understanding what's great for kids and what's great for teaching. Okay, so we do appreciate that. We wanted to tell you thank you. And we have some other National Board certified teachers in the audience. Would you please stand? Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot. I know you're giving me. They both just submitted their renewals last night, so good job, ladies. So I look forward to presenting our newly certified and renewal teachers next year. We do have people that just submitted, and so I look forward to doing this every year. So again, thank you and congratulations for your hard work.
Is there any comments from the board on this? I just wanted to thank you, Wendy, for taking on this role, and for all our teachers who go through that process and who go through it a second time. And we have always been so proud of the numbers in this district, and thank you for doing that. Any other board members want to add anything? Nah. Okay. David, anything?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we have I'm going to make sure I got them all together here. Okay. I think I'll do this one first because these are all the same. Anna McHenry and Debbie Burns, come on down. Do you need your time together too?
Yes, please.
Yes.
I doubt it. We're not that long. Good evening. I'm Anna McHenry, and this is Debbie Burns. We're counselors at Vista Del Lago High School, and we just came to educate and make sure that everybody knows what counselors do. There are 3 full-time counselors at Vista with almost 1,900 students. The American Counselor Association recommends counselor ratios of 250 students to 1 counselor. Vista's current counselor ratio is 613 students to 1. It is an exciting time of year, and we are preparing for the class of 2019 graduation. We hosted Cum Laude Awards Night on Tuesday, where we honored students with over 300 awards, including completion of CTE, this is the Career Technical Education Pathways, Honor Society, Seal by Literacy, Valedictorians, and our Soaring Eagle Awards in each subject matter. Next week, we will host a local scholarship night where community members will award Vista Del Lago students with almost $30,000 in scholarships. Vista counselors have worked with their Career Center technician, teachers, and community members to advertise, collect, and select the recipients for both evenings. Since January, we have provided a variety of services to our students and families. Vista being a 4x4 block schedule, we essentially start a new school year in the beginning of January where students receive 4 new courses. We ensure students are placed in the correct courses based upon their grades from the previous term and processed over 200 schedule change requests. We take pride in accommodating every student by name, individually reviewing each student's request to ensure that they are enrolled in the courses that they desire and need for personal growth. During this time, we are also registering students for the following school year. We meet individually with each student and review their transcript with them, go over course selection, helping them plan for their future. Despite our heavy caseloads, we feel it's extremely valuable to spend one-on-one time building a relationship with each student. This year has been uniquely challenging due to Vista's impaction.
Anna described some of the key things that we do from January until now, but there are obviously many more things. I will just name a few because if I tried to list them all, we'd be here all night, I think. So completing mid-year reports through Naviance. Naviance has been key for us at Vista. We use that program to make sure that students we're communicating with colleges to provide their transcript and any other information, oftentimes having to write a written report for these colleges, all of them that they're applying to. We also use Naviance to collect data from students. We provide surveys for students to complete to help us know where they're going to college so that we can send their final transcripts, so that we can create our school profile, but also so that we can complete our LCAP goals. We continue to coordinate 504 meetings and attend all IEP meetings in order to support students of specific disabilities. We also are completing summer school registration forms where we have to review every student who has a D or an F in a class and then recommend them to summer school or assist them in planning for their next school year to ensure that they complete graduation requirements and or college requirements. Vista coordinated this last month a district counselor meeting at our site where we were able to collaborate with all of our district counselors and create transition goals for elementary to middle and middle to high school so that we ensure that we meet all of the needs of students. We are also trying to be collaborative so that we can create processes throughout the counseling system so that we are all on the same page and that the district has the overall goals through all of each site. Advanced education is rampant right now. Advanced education is where students apply to attend a community college during their time in high school. They do this with us first. We have to monitor their GPA and make sure that they are taking courses that are above and beyond what we offer at the high school level. So those are all very important things that we do, but one of the biggest things that we hold near and dear to our heart is working with students one-on-one. And there isn't a day that goes by that we don't have a student that comes in needing support in a variety of areas. A lot of the things that we talked about were academic, but there's also a lot of social and emotional issues, as everybody knows, because that's been a large topic. And what we as counselors do are we're the front line for those students. And every day we have a student, each of us, that is in our office because they're crying because maybe they're anxious about an AP test, or they are having some problems at home where they need a trusted individual that they can count on, somebody that is a safety net for them, somebody that will keep things confidential but also keep them safe, knowing what our mandated reporting laws are. We also work with students who don't have their primary needs met. They might need assistance with food or a backpack or a pencil. And that is prevalent in Folsom as well, despite popular belief. We do deal with that here in Folsom as well at Vista. So those things are extremely important to us, and we continue to try and meet those needs. Almost done, promise. As the year comes to an end and we say goodbye to our students, some moving on to college, some the workforce, some military, different areas, we also, and we see that their goals are being set for the future, and we're setting goals as well. And in order to set goals for ourselves, we don't always have control of what those outcomes of those goals are because we need assistance. And we thank the board and the district so much for all the assistance they've given us. They've given us a career tech. Right now, Vista is without a career tech. She has retired, and unfortunately that position hasn't been filled yet. So we really hope that that will come back into play really soon. We had a valuable career tech, and she's now gone, unfortunately. We love and miss her dearly. But we hope that that is one thing that the board and the district can continue to do to support our students and our staff. Another thing is, in order to help students, we need information on students, and it has been a struggle for us to obtain the students' free and reduced lunch list. And that is one thing we've asked the board and talked to the board about before, and we were wondering and hoping that that is something that can help us provide for these students that are in need, help identify and assist them. The other thing that we hope that the district and board will consider in the future is helping us to reduce our caseloads. That one-on-one interaction with those students is really what we got into this job for, is working with students and helping guide them in their future, whatever that might be. And it's really hard to do that with such a large caseload. So we thank you for all the support, and our goals are hopefully something that we can work out with you as well and create and help continue to make Folsom Cordova great for our students. Thank you.
Superintendent, since we have some new board members, can you follow up and let the board know about the free and reduced lunch information sharing question? Thank you. Jackie Carter? Welcome.
So I am actually going to switch with Jackie because my boys have their swim team in about 20 minutes, if that's okay. My name is Tiara Dominguez.
Okay.
So thank you,
Thank
Jackie,
you.
for letting me switch with you really quick. I was here last month and really enjoyed being here and learning about the district, and I hope to come and continue to participate as a parent. I really appreciated the email that Jim Huber sent out yesterday about the Healthy Youth Act that was just passed last week. I was waiting for some communication or some information on the district website and checked every day. And so it was a relief to me to finally get some information because so much confusion has been going around. We have a lot of concerned parents. I am one of them. And I know there will be future talks in the fall, but I think about this every day, so I would like you to think about this every day as well. So I just wanted to read a few parts from a book called Sex, Puberty, and All That Stuff, A Guide to Growing Up by Jackie Bailey that is recommended for 4th to 6th graders. It provides instructions on how to masturbate, teaching on erogenous zones, and how kids who French kiss can also touch each other's genitals. So I just want to read a few parts. This is 4th to 6th grade. I'm just going to skip around. Touching yourself like this is called masturbation, and it is a safe and natural way to explore your body and your own sexual responses.
Yeah, there's children in here.
Well, this is going to be taught to children.
It's
Thank you.
Can I continue? Is that okay?
Is there anyone else? Anyone who
they're
wants to leave?
Yeah.
Okay. The clitoris is mainly a bundle of nerve endings. It is very sensitive to touch, and when rubbed, it feels very tingly, pleasurable, and sexy. Masturbation is one of those things that almost everyone does, but few people talk about. It is usually a very private and personal act, although mutual masturbation is sometimes done with a partner. Serious or heavy petting is also known as foreplay because often it comes before intercourse. But foreplay can be enjoyable in itself and can lead to orgasm for both partners. In fact, few girls have orgasms through sexual intercourse alone. Often they need to have their clitoris touched at the same time. It also includes oral sex, when one or both partners use their mouth and tongue to kiss and lick their partner's penis or clitoris. So what's wrong with petting? Well, as long as you like the person you are doing it with, take things slowly, and are careful and thoughtful of each other, then there's nothing wrong with it. It is completely natural to want to explore your own and someone else's sexuality. So I just want to close and again reference that this is recommended for 4th to 6th grade and has now been approved by the state. And I hope we can continue to work with the district to make appropriate choices for what our elementary school students are learning. Thank you.
Thank you. Jackie Carter. Will the real Jackie Carter come down?
Good evening. I was here a month ago too, and I also enjoyed the board meeting and had a great time learning about the new high school that we're going to be getting and just everything that I loved hearing from everybody, just learning about our district. It was really interesting to me. Oh, sorry, yes. Jackie Carter. Yeah, I was also very grateful to get that email yesterday from Mr. Huber and from all of you, letting us know that in the future there's going to be forums, that you're going to be communicating with us. It just gave me hope to know that we can work together and really communicate with each other and move forward with this new Healthy Act together, knowing what's best for our kids. And so I'm really grateful for that email. We know that you guys will follow through, and we will also keep coming and being involved and showing up. I was really happy to see our wonderful school principal is here tonight. Probably not necessarily to learn about this, but either way, just seeing her here really helped me feel supported in this endeavor. And actually, my questions tonight are not as much about the Healthy Act, but about the new science curriculum. It's my understanding that you guys just voted on that, and that you'll be giving the results of what curriculum you chose in the next board meeting. Is that correct? Maybe. So. And then I was mostly at the last board meeting that I attended a month ago. You guys had the different options like out in the foyer, and I was just kind of wondering, once you have decided what that is, when the vote comes out or whatever, what you've chosen, will that be available to us again, kind of in that same format? I actually thought that was great, and that would be awesome if, when the new curriculum is chosen, if we have access to it before school starts next year, so that we can be prepared for whatever's in there. So thank you very much. Thanks for all of your hard work, and we just really appreciate you guys and all that you do.
Thank you. Christine Graham. Welcome, and please state your name.
My name is Christine Graham, and I'm also here to talk about the Healthy Youth Act. I wanted to just have those who are here because of this new sex ed change to raise your hand if you're here because of that. Just curious, because I feel like there's a lot of us in the community that aren't here today. I am very connected in the community. I have 4 kids, ages 12 down to 4, and so I have a lot invested in our Folsom schools. And I guess I should just start by saying how much we love our schools and we love our teachers. I mean, honestly, I have had 0 complaints up to this point about anything with our schools. And so I feel like there's just kind of this, we find ourselves in this kind of this interesting scenario where we have the state lawmakers and then we have our students, and you guys are kind of in the middle. And as parents, I want to be able to express that voice that I have, and also like I said, I'm very connected in the community, and there's so much. That reaction that we just received just a minute ago when Tiara read from some of this information, that is how I feel as a parent. I am shocked, and I have to go and ask around, like, what does this mean? What does this word mean? I don't even know what this term is, or I don't even understand what they're talking about. And I'm a 35-year-old woman that has 4 kids. And so, anyways, I just wanted to express that voice for a lot of friends and families in the community, that we love what you guys are doing right now. And we love the sex ed education that our kids are receiving right now. And we would love to continue with a very similar format and curriculum. It's honestly, my daughter did it last year in 5th grade, and she came home and had so many great insights, and she learned about what's happening with her body and just what's going to happen in the next couple years with puberty and a period and all that stuff. And it was a great opportunity for us to chat as a mother and daughter, and my husband participated. And we feel very strongly about educating our children when it comes to their bodies and sex. And I feel like every family deserves that kind of right to be able to talk to their children in their own home about each family's values and each family's standards and expectations about what is okay and what would we encourage our kids to do, and how to act in particular circumstances. And so I guess I'd just like to say, let's continue forward with the curriculum that we have right now. It's great. It's basic. But it's informative, and I feel like that's where I would like to see this go. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Malin Falk. And can you please state your name in case I mispronounced it, of course.
Yes, no, it is Malin Falk, and not as tall as Christine. And I have, next year I'll have a student at Vista, 2 at Folsom Middle, and 1 at Empire Oaks. And I'm here to add my voice to the others opposing AB 329. I think by now the district can see that so many parents are confused and concerned. We love our kids, and we want them to receive healthy and appropriate information. We love our schools, and we want to believe that we can trust our educators when we send our kids to them for many hours every day. I don't want to bombard you with sensationalized accusations and skeptical questions, but I feel the need to have a presence. So here I am, showing up, standing up, speaking up, getting involved and asking for unity with the district, and actually making decisions based on parent input as we move forward on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. And Sophia Little?
I have a question before I start. Do you answer questions while I speak or no? Or do you just listen?
Listen
Just
for
listen.
the
Okay, so I'll go ahead. My name is Sophia Little, and I've lived in Folsom the last 14 years and feel lucky we do. I have children at Oak Chan, Folsom Middle, and Vista del Lago. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for your volunteer and your hard work, all the work hours you put into our district, and what makes it what it is, and we love it here. We feel so blessed and we feel lucky that we're part of this Folsom community. I am also here as a concerned parent to the revision of the AB 329, and I have many questions, and I have a few I'd like to just address. The first one is at what level does the district have input into the State Board of Education? My question is does someone from our district, is there someone sitting at the table with them when they're revising the current curriculum? Number two is this new framework openly allowing for any of the material approved by the state to be taught, or can the district omit materials, books, or supplements? So like the book some of this part that Tiara read, can they omit that completely? And so my question regarding that is, for instance, I understand the district is planning to meet with parents mid-August to October to go over the framework. What if one teacher wants to teach something that is not approved specifically by the district? And how will the district hold them accountable to keep within the boundaries set by the district? Does that make sense? Okay. And my last question is at what level, or here it is there a way the district can help me and other parents going forward to know when there are revisions specifically relating to the sex ed curriculum or framework? And is there a way to start an appeal with the revised edition already? So those are my questions.
Okay, thank you. So could you email those questions to the superintendent, Martha?
Okay.
And we'll
is
make
that
sure.
on the website? I could just find, or how do I get? Perfect.
Yeah, and we'll make sure that you get answers, and some of those may end up on our FAQs. And I know thank you, and I know I've said this every time. I have confidence that our district administration understands the concern from the community, and we will continue to work through this. Thank you. And on that note, I do want to compliment our staff who did put out the information this week on the FAQs and on the website and the messages to families. We will be as transparent as possible. Moving on to reports of district organizations. Student Advisory Board.
So this is my last report, kind of sad. I just want to announce next year's SAB president, Scarlett. She's actually in the audience. You want to put up a hand?
Stand up, child. Scarlett, can you stand up? There you go.
Scarlett is an amazing person. She is very hardworking, very organized. She's also very empathetic. So I have a feeling that there's going to be a bright future for SAB next year. And honestly, I could not leave if it was anyone else.
Well, Scarlett, do you have more to say in your report?
No, I'm fine.
Is there anything that you want to say if you're here? You're welcome to.
Can I go for it?
Yes.
Come on up.
And then when you get to the microphone, state your name.
Scarlett Nisnik. So I'm getting over a bad cold right now, so I'm sorry for my voice, but I've been in SAB since 7th grade, so next year will be my 6th year in the Student Advisory Board. And I'm really excited to take over Myra's position, and thank you for leaving SAB the way it is right now. I've loved working with you. I was actually secretary this year, so I was communicating minutes with Myra and working with all the other amazing students from all the other schools. And I have a lot of ideas for next year. I'm excited to attend these meetings and hopefully disagree, maybe.
There you go.
So,
Make note of that. Yeah.
Oh, Folsom High School, and I'm going to be a senior next year.
Thank you and welcome. Do we have anything on PTA Council?
We do.
Okay.
We do. I wanted to make the announcement that as of the May 7th meeting, the motion to dissolve the Folsom Cordova PTA Council as of June 30th was passed unanimously. That does, again, remember, this does not affect all of the local PTAs at each of the sites. Those will continue to function fantastically as they always have. Wanted to thank David Reed for his role as president of the council and for his guidance through this process. So it's as of June 30th, that will probably be my last report.
And I guess we'll just check that off the agenda. One last thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Reed, anything? You still with us?
I'm still here.
Okay.
I'll provide some remarks at the end of the last meeting in June.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. California School Employees Association.
Rob Thomas, chapter president. Pardon the voice, I've got a cold too.
Oh my.
The issue I wanted to address tonight is the issue of lateral transfers. It's been an issue that we've been wrestling with pretty much all year at the negotiating table. And in our contract, it says an employee is granted a lateral transfer providing the employee's last evaluation is satisfactory and the employee has served in the current position for at least 12 months. And I've got copies of the relevant part if you'd like to review it. So essentially, if I work hard, get a good evaluation, and there's an opening that comes up that I would prefer at another school or department, I'm granted the transfer. That's great. It seems fair and values me as a good employee, performing my job duties and getting a good review. So what is the problem? Well, the problem is if you have 2 good employees who apply for a lateral transfer, or 3 good employees who apply for a lateral transfer. Well, why is that a problem? It's from CSEA's point of view, it isn't a problem. Now you have 2 or 3 good candidates for the lateral transfer. Unfortunately, district administration does not see the issue the same way. The district says that no one is granted the lateral transfer. Outside candidates, internal candidates, all are interviewed with no preference for the employees that have earned lateral transfer rights. This does not respect or value our classified employees who have earned lateral transfer rights. At this point, CSEA and the district seem to be at impasse on this issue and headed for PERB. We urge you as board members to look at this issue and help us get it resolved. This summer, I will be meeting with our labor relations representative and preparing the PERB paperwork. I hope we don't have to get there. Do you have any questions for me?
No.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Folsom Cordova Education Association. Welcome.
Good evening, Angelica Miklos, FCEA President. And I've got a short report this evening. Had the opportunity to start my week with taking part in the active shooter drill at Rancho Cordova Elementary. And that was an eye-opening process. Really glad I got to take part in that and see things through Mr. Musinich's eyes. Thank you for all the insights that you gave. I really appreciated it because it put a different spin on things and just helps us to see how we can better serve our schools and make them a safer place, and also keep ourselves calm and look for the areas that we need to improve in our own physical environment wherever we are, be it a school, a district office, my own office. Just those things we need to look at to keep ourselves safe. I had a really great phone call today from an employee that's going to be joining us in the fall who currently works in San Juan. And I just wanted to share it because he called and just wanted more information about FCEA and how to join. But he ended with, so can you tell me a little bit about your relationship with the district? And that was just a perfect in, because we were just blessed to have the relationship, the working relationship that we do. And I was happy to share that with him. And he was happy to hear it as well, especially with some of the unrest going on around us. So he's quite excited about joining our district. He's going to be a teacher at Mills. Yes. How did you know that?
Because I thought so.
Anyway, it was a great conversation. I just wanted to share that with you. And Myra, I want to say congratulations and wish you all the best in your future.
Thank you.
That's it for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Folsom Cordova Leadership Association.
Good evening, President Ryan King. I'm coming down with a cold. So, board members and Dr. Collegian. As you know, our principals have been working on their ABCs this year, and it's specifically the C portion, which is the climate, culture, and connectedness. Tonight, we have the privilege of hearing from Principal Christina Richardson and Principal Allison Rice about what they're doing at their campuses. So, Principal Richardson, I think you're first. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. So at the homeschool charter, we've been very busy this year building our culture and our connectedness on campus. We've done a lot of learning and we've done a lot of growing and a lot of reflecting. So first I want to start off by talking about our campus events. We had our back to school picnic, which was very well attended by parents and students and their siblings. We also opened up campus for the California Air Show, which we'll do again this year. Additionally, we have our end of year picnic, which was scheduled for a swim party tomorrow, gratefully postponed to next week. And then we're also going to, in our reflection, add some spring events next year. We're going to do a color splash, and we're also going to do an end of the year campus event as well. We looked at our field trips this year. We used to have field trips that would have our grade bands, our older and our younger, go each, both once a month. We found that they had not been well attended, so we want to do fewer of those, be more financially sound with that, and hopefully have less but more well attended going into next year. We also want to start some Boot Camp 101 for homeschool families that are new. We have 88 new families on campus this year. So we want to partner them with veteran families to be able to have another lifeline, what I wish I would have known when I started this adventure. And I've got some families lined up to be able to do that on our first day of school next year, which I'm excited about. A lot of what happens on our campus are our workshops. And so our connectedness in the top right corner. We had 2 book studies this year. We had our American Girl book club where they made their own bonnets and they had tea. And we also had a Harry Potter book club, which culminated with a Quidditch match outside with hula hoops and a lot of fun. In the bottom corner, we have our Life Lab in the garden. We have a beautiful garden that we use not just for growing food, but also for some life science, learning about erosion and photosynthesis with our children, being able to do hands-on learning. And in inclement weather, we go inside and we talk about nutrition and we have cooking classes. And then one of the things we're very proud of is that we're building our culture together with STEAM. So each grade band has 4 opportunities to be able to come on campus for a 2-hour block. They're doing science, they're doing art, we have installations, we had a science fair at the end of April, and students are really doing a lot of hands-on learning within those enrichment and skill building opportunities. So lots happening, more to come, and I really thank you for all of your support. Just could not feel more supported and more grateful to be here and be in this district and work with our students and families.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for? Nope.
Okay.
Great
Thank you very
job.
much.
Thank you. Thank you. Allison.
Welcome. Right. I was told I had 2 minutes to brag about everything we've been doing at our school, so I'm going to talk very quickly because we've been doing a lot. So we have 3 things that we've really focused on this year, and those 3 things have been coherence, student engagement, and teamwork, both our students and our teachers. So we first looked at coherence because what we were looking at is that we have a lot of students who are pulled out or have push-in services, and we wanted to make sure that all of our service providers had an alignment of curriculum, and so we did that K-5. So our teachers have been working extraordinarily hard. We have a coherence board that lives in our staff room, and everybody reports on what unit they're on, what chapter they're on, and so that all of our service providers are all in alignment so that students have a coherent, not a fractured experience in their day. Because what we were realizing was that some of our students with the most needs get pull out and push in services, and that can look very fractured if those curriculums are not aligned. And so we have worked very, very diligently all year, and I can say we are in alignment. We have also been able to pilot some new programs that keep that alignment going, including Steps to Advance and Standards Up Close with Benchmark. And so the district has been phenomenal in supporting us with getting us the resources we need to make that our focus. We have looked at engagement, and we've been looking specifically at our social and emotional learning. We have a brand new makerspace that our students are using. We have Makers Mondays. It's attached to character traits. They earn their way in. We have a lunch bunch room, which offers a structured option during lunch recess for every single student inside. And we have Assist, who now comes to our school twice a week, that offers a structured recess option outside. And so what we have noticed is a shift in our climate and culture of our school towards inclusiveness, towards teamwork, and towards character education. We are also doing MTSS rotations at our school, where we are targeting specific skills and essential standards, and we provide both remediation, intervention, and amplification. Because at Empire Oaks, we have a lot of students who need help, but we also have a lot of students that are above grade level. And so in our MTSS rotations, which happen within grade levels, we're able to offer the complete line of curriculum enhancement for students of all levels. And then for collaboration and teamwork, I brag on our teachers. I have been bragging on them all year. Next year, every single grade level is different. So we unhinged the grade levels, and we asked our teachers to pick your teams. Pick your teams of the teachers that you trust, that you know that you can work with, and every single grade level has shifting. That's all teacher selected and elected, and that is incredible amounts of work that we have every single grade level willing to participate in, because it's what's best for students. And so this summer, the teachers will be shifting all of their classrooms. They're working together and creating that alignment. And then we have also, our teachers are in collective professional development. We chose book study books this year, Learning by Doing, which was one of them, and we've been doing book studies all year long. And so that's what's happening at Empire Oaks.
Thank you, and compliments to all the work you've done in your time there, and we're very sad to see you leave. Scoey snagged another good one from us. We'll get them.
It is bittersweet, but I have complete confidence in the hands that the school is going in for the direction that it's headed. So.
Thank you. Good luck. Okay, District English Learner Advisory Committee.
No report.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're getting to the moment most of you are waiting for. Agenda consent. Do I have a motion to move the agenda consent?
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Moved by Mr. Short, second by Mr. Hoover. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Superintendent, do you have anything you'd like to announce?
Oh, I sure do. One of the actions the board took this evening was approving the personnel report. And on the personnel report, we have two new folks that we'd like to introduce. One isn't new, but one is new. And the first one I'd like to introduce is our new principal for Folsom Middle School, Mrs. Terry Daniels. Terry, can you please stand so we can recognize you? Give a little background about Terry before we allow her to say a few words, but because she is new, I do have some introductions here. Miss Daniels' career in education spans more than 30 years. For the last 2 years, Terry has served as the principal of the Buckeye School of the Arts, a diverse TK through 8 campus in Reading. For 6 years before that, she was the principal and superintendent of the Schaefer Elementary School District in Lassen County. Throughout her career, she has maintained a focus on instructional leadership and collaboration while maintaining a school culture of learning and positive character development. We believe Ms. Daniels' depth and breadth of experience and her understanding of the skills needed to work in a large middle school environment will make her an exceptional fit at Folsom Middle School for years to come. So welcome, Terry.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So that's Terry Daniels as my name. And I just want to thank the board, Sarah, Catherine, all of you that have shown faith in me. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to see so many people come out to check me out. I didn't expect that.
Oh, you'll be all over social media really soon, too.
That's okay. So I'm very, very excited. I do have a few more weeks up in Reading to close out the year up there, and then I will be here, and I look forward to having time to meet with each and every one of you and discuss your dreams and hopes and wishes for Folsom Middle School. Same goes to parents of Folsom Middle School, and I want to thank the board very much, and I won't let you down. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome. And thank you to the Folsom Middle staff who came out tonight, and thank you.
I also want to thank the Folsom Middle School team for your participation in the process and your involvement in the interviews as well. And we wish you all the very best. We know that you're going to be in great hands with Terry Daniels. So thank you. And as one principal is departing Empire Oaks with Allison Rice, we want to introduce to you the new principal of Empire Oaks Elementary. Not a new face to Folsom Cordova, but we have Miss Sarah Perrinson in the audience. Sarah is going to be our new principal at Empire Oaks Elementary. Familiar face on our team. She served for 8 years as our district TK through 8 curriculum lead teacher for English Language Arts. Since 2016, she has led Mather Heights Elementary as its principal and made an immediate impact, building strong relationships and trust with her staff, families, and students. Before taking the helm at Mather Heights, Ms. Perrinson successfully served as an elementary assistant principal at Russell Ranch and Cordova Villa Elementary Schools. She joined the district in 2002 as a 6th grade ELA teacher at Mills Middle. All of this experience will serve her well at Empire Oaks, where we have no doubt her deep knowledge, breadth of skills, and strong rapport with stakeholders will help carry their school's momentum into the coming years. So congratulations, Sarah, and welcome over to Empire Oaks.
I was going to point this out in my comments, but it seems like a good enough place to do it right here. We also just approved 20 equity leaders on our personnel report. So I want to thank all the teachers who stepped in to apply for those jobs and the ones who are filling that role to become trainers of the trainees or trainers in our district. Anyways, it's a huge step, and I want to thank all of them, anyone who applied, and the 20 that we just approved. So thank you. I wish for everyone who is leaving that we had cookies for you too, but we don't, and we understand if you've reached the highlight of the evening. Yes. Okay, moving on to our public hearing, I believe it is. Just a second. At this moment, I am opening the public hearing, preliminary endangerment assessment and remedial action work plan for Mangini Ranch Elementary School. Is there anyone from the public who is here to comment on this item? Mr. Washburn, are we in need of any presentation from you on this evening, or will that be at a later date? Anything you need to report? What? We always love to hear you, but that's okay. I'm sure it'll come back around. Okay. Seeing no one from the public, I'm going to close this public hearing. Moving on to our discussion action item of the evening, approve resolution number 516-1939, early notification of retirement incentive for employee number 601094. Does the board need any information on this one?
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Hoover.
Second.
Second by Mr. Short. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Reed.
Aye.
Our next item, adopt resolution 516-1940, hiring of short-term classified employee for ETIS CalPAD support. Routine item. Do we have a motion to move it?
I'll move it.
Moved by
I'll
Mr.
second.
Short, second by Mr. Hoover. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Thank you. Adopt resolution number 516-1941, hiring of short-term classified employee for ETIS Printer 1.
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Short,
Second.
second by Mr. Hoover. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Reed.
Aye.
Approve agreement with the Office of Administrative Hearings. Does the board need any additional information? Okay.
I'll move it.
Mr. Clark?
Second.
Second by Mr. Short. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Our discussion item for this evening, another highlight of the night.
Oh, boy.
Budget update, the impact of the governor's May revise for 2019-20
Yep.
and LCAP budget update. Superintendent.
Yes, this information is hot off the press, literally. Governor Newsom released his May revision just a couple of days ago, so we've updated our budget and our information that we had from the governor and his projections for next year's budget, and continue to tie it back to some of the updates we've been giving throughout the year in our budget and adding to the information we've been sharing at our budget study sessions. All of this is leading up to the adoption of our budget, which will happen by the second meeting in June. So this is the next step in the process. And halfway through the presentation will be an update on our LCAP and how the budget information overlaps with that information on LCAP and where we're at with that. So it's a progress report on both topics, the budget and our LCAP. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Crawford, who's going to lead us through the slides in this presentation.
Woohoo, here we go. Okay, so tonight we'll be presenting the update as part of the governor's May revise for 2019-20.
For your listening pleasure, Mr. Reed, we're technology issues.
Okay, that's better.
Okay.
So some of the themes that came out of the May revised, there are some good, there are some bad. There is some additional Prop 98 funding for both current year and for next year. State revenues were up slightly, so those adjustments have been made. There still is caution as part of the May revise on the expected growth in the economy and in revenues. Any day now we keep hearing about the economic downturn, so we're all waiting for it to happen. We just haven't quite seen it yet. The COLA for next year and the next 2 years out, next year actually declined. For 2021 it will increase, and for 21-22 it's going to decrease. So it's going to go up and then it's going to go right back down. Another proposal as part of the May revise was an additional $150 million in non-Prop 98 funding to add to the partial buy down that the governor proposed in January for the employer contribution for CalSTRS. So for 19-20, it reduces our contribution rate from 18.13 to 16.7, and then an additional buy down in 2021 from 19.1 to 18.1. In our meeting this morning, we did hear about this additional $150 million. The Senate is not in agreement with this. They are proposing that those dollars, because they are non-Prop 98 dollars, be used for mental health services. We're waiting to see what the Assembly proposes, and then the three of them will get together and hash it out, and we'll see what happens.
Ms. Crawford, if anyone has questions on the slides as they go by, should they ask them then, or do you prefer?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so if you have questions as it goes by. Okay.
So this is just a quick overview of LCFF as a whole. You'll notice just on the top right-hand side for 2019-20, it's the grade span levels, what the dollar amounts are for each of those grade spans, and the dollar amounts for supplemental. We do not receive any dollars for concentration grant, and then the class size reduction and the career tech additional add-ons. Our target rates for 2019-20, our current funding is $178 million. The proposed LCFF target would be $184 million, so it's about a 6.4 total increase. Of that, the base grant amount is about $5.5 million. It's good, but it still doesn't cover all of our ongoing increases. When we add step and column, when we add special ed contribution, some of our other ongoing annual increases, it's still not enough to cover, and these are the education processes that we're working on with the legislature. Special ed, there wasn't much change. There was a little bit of additional funding for expanding services and school readiness supports for eligible districts. This will be basically a concentration grant. Unfortunately, it's for those districts that are over a 55% unduplicated count, and there's an additional mandate. They have to meet the statewide level of special ed, so we don't qualify.
But do we qualify the second component, the statewide level of special ed? We don't qualify the 55?
That's
No.
concentrated.
Okay.
No.
So we don't meet either of the criteria?
No.
Okay.
Nope. And you have to have both.
I thought maybe because we have a high number of students here that we met that.
You have to have both. There's not a lot of districts that actually do qualify because they don't meet both. The additional, the $500,000 for non-Prop 98 funds gives us the flexibility to use Medi-Cal dollars through the federal government. Hopefully that will help add to some of our funding sources for those services that we provide. I did put in red here, there is the governor's proposal, but then there are other bills moving through the legislature that differ in what they want to provide for special ed services. And they're very different in their methodology, and they're very different in the dollars that they provide. So that's probably going to be one of the biggest discussion when the three get together, the governor, the assembly, and the Senate, which way they go with those dollars. So stay tuned, and we'll stay tuned with Betty Jo to kind of keep us abreast of what's happening. I tried to get the dollar amount per ADA today for the cost of living for special ed. With the 3.46, the original COLA, it was about $18 per ADA. It will be slightly less, but I don't have that dollar, so I apologize. There's X's there. As soon as I know what that is, I'll add that. There was no ongoing funding proposed by the governor for equalization of the AB 602. However, the Senate is proposing funding for that. So we are keeping our fingers crossed and really hope that does happen. Early childhood education, there weren't many details that came out of the May Revised for early childhood education. There continues to be talk about funding provided, but it doesn't talk about how it's allocated, what the requirements are going to be, those kinds of things. So we're still watching and waiting on that. There's increases and decreases from what we can tell. Some of it doesn't really apply to us. For the full day preschool, the slots that were allocated, the proposal is to release 10,000 of those earlier. However, those are non-LEA programs, so those are not our programs, so those don't really help us. With the full day kindergarten, those are also non-Prop 98 dollars. It's for the facilities grant program. There's actually a reduction in the amount that the governor's proposing for that. Unfortunately, we don't qualify for that either because of our unduplicated count and our facility needs. So next steps, this is just kind of where we are and where we need to go before the end of June when the budget has to be approved by the state. So we're in the very first stage, late May. So the Senate met yesterday, so we're starting to see the information come out of the Senate. The Assembly is meeting next week, so we should start to hear more about the differences between those two proposals and then what happens when they get together with the governor. Now the fun part for our multi-year projections. So I've updated this since our budget study sessions, and we had several of those. So the first column is the current year 18-19. We did receive our P2 ADA calculations, and unfortunately we overprojected. Our district-wide average for elementary, middles, and high, we were actually lower than 96%, which is what our target was. We actually ended up at about 95.9. So we did overproject. Alternative sites were also lower, so that played a factor. We also had a huge decline between P1, which is in December, and our P2, which was in April. We saw the lowest decline. It was almost 1%. I should say it's the highest decline we've seen in over 5 years. So unfortunately, it ends up being a loss in revenue of about $700,000 for us. So we've accounted for that in the revenue section. What it means for us, bottom line, is the amount that we had initially set aside. We had some dollars left over at second interim. It just means we'll have less dollars available to cover next year. So looking at 1920, we have accounted for the revised COLA, which was decreased. We have included the STRS partial buy down. Originally, we were not going to include that on advice from SCOE. After speaking with them this morning, walking through our projections and walking through where we are in our financials, they have approved us to include those in both 1920 and 2021. So those buy downs are included in there. We have revised some expenditures, which I'll show you on a slide coming up. We had some phase one expenditures that we had already talked about in our budget study sessions, and then I'll talk about some changes in expenditures and a couple more that we've added. So as of right now, we are about $200,000 short for next year. We'll need to reduce our planned budgeted expenditures before we bring it to you in June. For 2021, we have again updated our COLA projections, which are actually increased from original. We have included additional ADA for Mangini Ranch Elementary. We've included additional ADA and the staffing expenditures, startup expenditures, equipment, that kind of thing, to open the school. So those are both reflected in 2021. We have swept all carryovers. Unfortunately, that still leaves us $370,000 short. So we'll be looking at some additional expenditure reductions so that we can stay qualified. That would be the certification that we want to bring to the board in June. Also, our 2-year bargaining agreements with both our teachers and our classified unit expire in 1920. So in 2021, we want to make sure that we start thinking about salary increases and we start the dialogue early. In our last budget study session, we talked about what the cost of 1% was, and that's about $1.6 million. So we need to just make sure that we account for that and we have that dollar amount in our minds as we go forward. Looking at 21-22, it's not getting any better. Unfortunately, the COLA goes back down to 21-22. Same assumptions, and that leaves us about $4.5 million short. That's as of the hour I put this slide together. We are still fluctuating. We're going hour by hour. Things are changing. Hopefully, we have to have some final details for you in June. We'll have some more information for you next board meeting with LCAP, and we'll have some more expenditure reduction recommendations for you. So these are some of the adjustments that we talked about in our budget study sessions. So the first top is what we are calling phase one. So these were some of the positions that we had decreased or we had planned on reducing as part of our early retirement incentive. So when the board approved that incentive to achieve the maximum savings, we needed to reduce 15 FTE. We're currently only at 13. So we're short 2 FTE at this moment. Unfortunately, that means that $1.1 million savings that I have here, I've actually overstated that. And that's overstated through all 5 years. So I will have to keep that in mind as we're going through and preparing for adopting the budget for next year. The phase two are some changes, and I've notated those in red. Those are some changes, some additions that we've made since our last budget study session. So we've added a couple of additional sections for special ed mod severe. That's at our middle schools and our high schools. I had a meeting with our JPA last week, and unfortunately our property and liability insurance increase is higher than we had anticipated. Our renewals are coming in for JPA wide. Increases were 72% to 132% increase. And the projection for next year is even worse. So we're going to hold on and keep our fingers crossed and hope it doesn't go up much more. And then we are also going to be recommending the reduction of our child welfare coordinator position. At the last board meeting, we had promoted our current coordinator to our director of behavior intervention support services. That position will be working very closely with our director of SEL and our new position of the social, emotional, and academic development coordinator position. So the three of those will be very key in our SEL services, our behavior services, mental health services. The three of them will be working very closely. So at the bottom, you'll see the amount needed to reduce is that $201,000. So next step, next week we are meeting with our LCAP working group. After that, we will be updating presentation to bring to you on June 6th. We will have the synthesis discussion with our working group, and then we'll bring you back all that data. We will have the LCAP public input, and we'll bring back another proposed supplemental ELLI budget. In June 20th, 2 board meetings from now, we will be adopting our LCAP and our budget. Throughout the rest of this month and going forward, we are continuing to review all of our vacant certificated and classified positions, and we're also continuing to review all of our position formulas. So any questions before I jump into LCAP?
Any questions?
Yeah. Rhonda, we've been talking about this economic downturn, I guess. Forever. Probably last year and probably a year and a half. Personally, do you see it coming, or can you anticipate when, or are we just going to keep talking economic downturn for a while, or for another year and a half?
I think we're going to continue talking about it. I think the signs are showing that it's slowing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to be as bad as it was back in 07, 08.
Right.
I think there are signs they're starting to show, but I don't think it's going to be as bad.
Right.
As what.
But it's
has
something
been
definitely
predicted.
we're preparing for, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then the other question I had, what's the cause of the increase of the insurance, the liability?
A lot of it is because we're California. It's the same thing homeowners are experiencing, because there has been such huge claims in fires and natural disasters, and claims are through the roof. And then just because of some of the legality in terms of lawsuits and others with very large settlements, California has just hit the roof. I mean, the amounts being paid out are just astronomical. And unfortunately, we're taking the brunt of it.
Like on Roundup and things like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Questions? Mr. Reed, did you have any questions?
Yeah, I actually have a general question, or maybe it's just an observation. In Sacramento County, we have 6 senatorial districts that come into Sacramento County, which seems to be a lot, but I just looked it up, and it's 6.
Did you say senatorial? Okay.
Senatorial, yeah, sorry. And I'm a little concerned about the report that the Senate is concerned or is looking at transferring those money for the CalSTRS and CalPERS buy down to mental health. And don't get me wrong, I think mental health needs money too, but it's robbing Peter to pay Paul. I mean, they need to figure out where else to find those funds. And I'm just wondering, is there an opportunity that Folsom Cordova Unified School District, given the fact that we're in the suburb of the state capital, and it may not be possible, but could we reach out to our fellow sister school districts in Sacramento County and try to organize a little lobby day where we all send 2 of our school board members down, maybe with staff, and get appointments with those 6 senators that represent Sacramento County. From what I can tell, at least 3 of them are in the Democratic caucus, 2 are in the Republican, and 1 is an open seat. But express our concern about that, transferring those funds away from the buy down from CalPERS and CalSTRS. I just feel like we have to do everything possible to prevent that from happening and get the money that the governor is budgeting for that buy down. Because if that doesn't happen and they're successful in moving those funds, the budget we just looked at, which isn't overly rosy, becomes much more critical.
Okay. A good suggestion. And it's also something that perhaps, Ed, you're attending the CSBA this weekend, so maybe if there's any chatter about advocating.
Oh, I'm
for
sure
that.
we'll
Yeah.
probably be talking
You could
about all day
report back.
Saturday.
Last one was on the 27th.
Any other questions from? And I have one. Rhonda, are we in our OPED? Are we setting up a trust for those contributions?
Yes.
Oh, and because we could receive some state savings to the general fund when that monies are invested more
Yes.
broadly. So what's our timeline on that? And do you see it being any significant relief to us, or?
I'm working with PARS right now. I do not have a timeline for you as of yet. I am working on that. I think we'll see some benefit. I don't know that it will be substantial in terms of the interest earnings, but everything is good.
Just basing it on something I read, which I'd be happy to forward to
Oh,
you.
yes, please.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public who has questions on this part of Rhonda's presentation? Seeing no one. Okay, Act 2.
Act 2. Okay, so we're going to move on to the LCAP budget update. So as part of the LCAP process, included in there are not only actions and services, but also dollar amounts in terms of supplemental funding. We call it ELLI, but its official name is supplemental. So this is just kind of the definition of what it's intended for, how it's calculated, and what the unduplicated counts, what those demographics of the students are that are counted as part of that. So we'll be talking a little bit more at our next board meeting, but what we wanted to do is just summarize for the board what we heard from our LCAP survey and our education town halls. So we have a couple slides here of what the common themes were. So the first three here we put separately on one slide because we can actually attach dollars to it and we can review positions, and I'll talk about that in a couple of slides here. But mainly some of basically the three top priorities that came out was academic support outside of the classroom, concerns about bullying and student discipline, and the increased need for support for our highest need student groups. And then these are some of those other common themes. A lot of it was pertaining to connectedness, parents wanting to have more of a voice in our discussions and our decisions and the solutions, talking about perception, making sure that we educate our families in terms of what programs we do offer and what resources are available. And a little bit more about the awareness. Not everybody's aware of all of our programs that we have throughout the district, not only in one community or the other, but for the entire district. So on that first slide, we talked about the top three priorities. So these are some of those formulas that we actually can attribute to those priorities. So these are three of those formulas. So we have campus monitors, career guidance clerks, and counselors. So the first one, campus monitors, it's actually not just campus monitors, it's also in-house suspension. The formula is fairly straightforward for middles and highs. For the elementary, it's a little more simple. And those are more noon duty type and playground supervision. When we look at all of our sites that have campus monitors and in-house suspension, looking at formula, they are all pretty much within formula. What we really need to do now is every site is a little different. So we need to really look at specific needs by site. So I think we'll be focusing a little bit more on that. For career guidance clerks, we have at the high school level, that's the only place that we have those. We have one per school. And those go hand in hand with our counselors. So our counselors currently at the middle school level, we have one FTE per 650 students, and we have at the high school level one per 600 students. And then we also have some additional ELLI allocations for higher populations. Another thing we wanted to look at, and you'll see when I get to the budget piece of it, we're looking at kind of realigning our funding sources. And we talked about it in our budget study sessions. We were trying to align schools that were over that 40% unduplicated, trying to realign those that were over the 40% and those that were under. With our unduplicated per pupil percentage at 38%, that 40% just kind of made sense. So this is looking at our current counselor ratios, and I apologize, it's a little small on the screen here. So the top portion is our middle schools. So you'll see the first column is our current FTE. We took what the FTE would be as of right now with the current ratio of 650. So you'll see like Folsom Middle School, their current FTE is 2.4. Using the current formula that they would be due 2.22 FTE. If we were to revise that formula from 650 to 550, their FTE would be 2.6. So that would be an additional 0.2 of an increase over their current 2.4. Mills and Mitchell, because they received the additional ELLI allocation for their students, they're within formula. Sutter Middle School is similar to Folsom Middle School. They currently have 2.4 FTE. If we were to use the current formula, they'd be at 2.26. If we were to revise the formula, they would go up to 2.67. So if we were to look at just Folsom Middle School and Sutter Middle School, it would be an increase of a 0.2 for each of those. Looking at the high schools, the three in the middle, so Cordova High currently has an additional ELLI allocation. So they are within formula, current formula, FTE ratio, and revised ratio. Looking at Folsom High School, they currently have 4 FTE. If we were to use the current formula at 600, they would be due 4.2 FTE. If we were to change that ratio to 500, they would increase up to 5.05. So that would be an increase of 1. Vista currently has 3.33. Their current ratio at 600, they would be due 3.16 FTE. With a revised formula at 500, they would go up to 3.79. So it's almost a half of an FTE increase. So all 4 of those total about 1.86 FTE.
What do you use for the FTEs now? 80,000? 100,000?
Well, counselors are a little bit more. So counselors are about average 85 plus benefits.
Can we call it a 100 for an easy
Sure.
dividable?
Yeah.
Okay, 100,000. Okay, thank you.
So yeah, the 1.86 FTE, if we were to do the 4 schools, it'd be close to about $200,000. Okay. The alternatives are there on the bottom, the bottom 4. We do not have a formula for them. We can certainly talk about a formula. They have small amounts, but it's probably worth having a discussion about how those are allocated and if it's for the current needs of those students. I do want to make sure I'm clear. We're not proposing any reductions here. We would only be looking at increases and if we were to revise any formulas.
Thank you for putting that together. Thank you.
So this was also presented during our budget study sessions, and I talked a little bit about this earlier. This is all of our sites with their unduplicated pupil percentage and their number of dashboard indicators. So the amount on the top, it's kind of a purple. Those are our highest need schools. And we also broke it up by Title I percentages. So that purple level, those are schools that are above a 75% within the Title I range. The middle level is the blue range, and those are above 35% but below 75%. And then the schools in green on the bottom, those are the schools that are under 40%. So looking at our unduplicated pupil percentage of 38%, it kind of breaks naturally and it follows the Title I guidelines. With the 75%, that purple range, if we were to follow Title I guidelines, we would have to fund those, which we do. That middle section, we have the option. And then the bottom would not receive any Title I sections. So what we're doing, and when I get to the detail of our proposed budget, we're trying to follow this for the most part. We're trying to realign our funding sources so that those schools that are above the 40% receive the most in terms of ELLI funding because they have the highest need students, and then moving out those students that are those schools that are below that 40% and moving those to general fund. So we took our detailed ELLI supplemental budget and we summarized it by goal here. So you'll see on the left-hand side is the number of the goal along with the services and how we propose to meet that service. And then we've summarized how much total supplemental funding would be attached to each of those goals. So based on formula, and that was an earlier slide, based on formula with our LCFF, our new supplemental funding allocation will be $13.1 million for next year. It's currently at about 12.4 for this year, so there is an increase to that. This takes that slide and it blows it up a little bit. It gives more detail. It's still by goal, but it goes a little bit into more detail with the goalettes. I've included the adopted budget for current 18-19, what we proposed for this year, and then what we're looking at proposing for next year. We've also indicated some of those funding realignments. I've got those in red here. Either we're funding realignment between over and under the 40%. We're moving back and forth to general fund. I've tried to designate what those are along with their associated dollars. A couple changes that we made under goal 2.4 for 18-19. We were still working on how we were targeting high need subgroups, so we kind of made it a general category. We had lots of things in there. So what we tried to do for next year, we started breaking those out. So we took what we had combined together for the targeting high need subgroups and our child welfare services, and we started breaking out those positions and those services that are part of those services. So you'll see all in red what those individual positions will be for next year.
Do we have the whole page up here? Are we missing the
I'm going to
bottom?
go to the next page.
Oh, okay. All right.
We had to split it in half. It was too big.
Okay.
And then you'll see the numbers on the right. Those are totals, and those correspond back to this page here. Okay. So this is the second page of that, and this. Oops, wait a minute.
There it is.
There it goes. So same concept. The changes are in red, just going down the line here. So you'll see some moved in, some moved out. The intervention specialists under goal 4. Those were the early retirement incentive. Those are part of that. So there's 10.3 indicated there, and you can't see the bottom of my slide. We are slightly over the formula, the 13.1. We have included carryover in here as well for our professional development as part of our bargaining unit agreements. We've added 3 additional professional development days for teachers and 1 day for classified, so those are included in here as well. And then so we're slightly over what our total allocation would be. So I know there's lots of numbers and lots of words on there. Does it make sense? Does it?
Yeah, I'm looking at this early retirement 10.3. So we're showing that as a reduction for next year because we eliminated those positions.
Correct.
But we're showing it in the general fund too, because the savings is all being coming out of this pool of money.
Yes.
So to say.
Yeah.
So we moved general fund type expenditures over here to okay.
Yes. Yes. We've done twofold. We've moved some general fund expenditures in, and then we've also moved some of our mental health services. We have a lot of positions and services in our mental health services grant. We're now showing that we're going to be upside down in that next year. So we need to move some of those positions out. So we're really looking at realigning those positions and services that fall under the ELLI piece of that moving them in here,
Mhm.
and then moving positions that are really not related to general fund. It's kind of a swap.
I think I got that concept. And I'm going to ask this question now only because, and if you tell me to wait to another slide, I will. The career guidance clerks, only because the VISTA counselors brought up that their position is not definitely filled yet. Are we leaving that to school sites for that position, or has there been anything changing on that?
We currently have 2 vacancies in career guidance clerks.
Mhm.
We are changing how they're funded in here because we have 2 vacancies, and that's actually on the next slide.
Okay, then we can go to the next slide.
We
I
are
thought I
we are
saw
looking at
something about it.
we're looking at all vacancies, not just those 2 positions. We're just looking at all of them.
Mhm.
And it actually tied back to the counselor discussion because we were talking about ratios. So that was part of the reason those have not been filled yet. We're
So
still
that would
talking.
be one of the ways we could say, if we don't want to do that, maybe we could do this. So I thought I saw something about absorbed by school sites. So maybe you'll explain that, or wait, you'll explain it when we get.
That, yeah, that was another one that was absorbed.
Okay.
That was the college and career readiness.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm mixing
Those are
up
absorbed
my
into
careers.
schedules.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Chime in anytime if you need something, Mr. Reed.
I'm good.
Okay.
So next steps in terms of our LCAP, as I said, we have our working group next week. We'll be bringing back data and more information for you on June 6th. We'll have more public input. We'll bring back another version of the supplemental budget, and then we'll have it adopted on June 20th.
Thank you. Well done, Ms. Crawford, as always. Is there any questions from the board? Anyone from the public care to ask questions or comment? Welcome back. Where have you been? Come on up.
Monica Merrill. Colds, concerts.
Okay.
2 graduating from Sac State. Stingers up. Whoop. Future teacher. I have a question, and this is just for my own understanding. When you change someone from, or when you change it from like 2.4 to 2.67, something like that, effectively, so I understand what it means from a budget perspective, but effectively, does that mean that determines when the counselor walks away from this school and drives over to the other school? Like, it's a number of hours? I'm trying to understand how you have a fraction of a FTE. So I'm
It's
just trying to
usually
understand.
days.
It's number of days?
Mm-hmm. So like a 0.4 would be 2 days. If we went to a 0.6, it'd be 3 days.
Okay.
And depending on if it's one person, they could be doing multiple sites.
Right. So it would be but are they full days at that site, or do they have multi-site days?
They're usually at that site for the full day.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public who would care to comment on this? Question?
Yeah. Do we have any data to show that the cost, that investment to reduce that ratio by 100 is going to make a noticeable impact on student health outcomes or mental health outcomes?
For the counselors?
For the counselors. I'm sorry, not health, just student outcomes in general. I mean, do we have any data to suggest that the 100, student ratio?
I think what it does is it brings us a little closer to the statewide recommended level, and we've been hearing from our counselors at every meeting that that ratio is still quite a bit lower than what we're proposing. But if we look at this over time, over multiple years, we can get closer to that. So what you're looking at really is probably more of the qualitative metrics of the contacts that counselor would have per student, possibly doing more face-to-face with either individual or group work or group settings with students. But I think many of the things that the counselors have been talking about could be translated into metrics when you're measuring the impact of counselor ratio to students. And as we heard, they do a lot of things. Now in Naviance, which is a data management system, and it also helps our students for planning beyond high school, there are probably some metrics there that we can start measuring.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Yes.
Are we looking at site specific? If a site says, I would really rather have this position than this position, or are we looking to make it across the board even? For example, if one high school says, I don't want to increase my counselors, I would want to find more MFT time, and are we trying to fit it to what works best for the site if they have an open position that they don't want to fill? No.
No.
Okay. Alrighty.
No, the twofold reason we brought the counselors back was we had several discussions with board, and then because it did come up as part of the LCAP feedback, so we wanted to make sure that we at least addressed it.
But if we want to reduce the number of contacts the counselor has, and we want to add 2 FTEs, we need to find the $200,000 to do that.
We also have some data I'd like to bring forward to the next meeting that talks about all of the support that we allocate to schools with counselors, mental health specialists, social workers, psychologists, and Shauna has helped put that into a chart for us, because I don't want to look at, a position in isolation. If we're talking about who are those staff members that we hire above and beyond to support our students' social emotional needs, we should look at the whole picture and look at all those FTEs. And the needs of our schools differ, and that's where we use some of our ELI dollars to enhance where the greatest needs are. But I think if we bring that chart back, that's also another way to look at the services.
Any additional comments from the public? Any additional board questions or comments? Fabian, good to see you too. David, Fabian's here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fabian Johansson.
Hi, Fabian.
Hello. I just wonder on the PBIT on that one, what is that for? Is that for the stipends for the PBIT counselors at each?
PBIS.
PBIS, yeah. What is that money?
Oh, the hang on, let me go back to it.
One of the I saw.
Yeah, it's in one of these. The positive school climate.
2.4, yeah.
Yeah, that's a couple of different things. There are some stipends there. There's training. There's professional development. There's link crew. There's a couple of other things that are kind of positive, part of that whole PBIS.
Okay, so like the stipend that the web coaches get, or what? So that's. Okay. All right.
And we have, at times reduced things like that across the board and back in the 2010 days. One big change on this was we moved a significant amount of transportation over to the LCAP side. Are we giving any other consideration to transportation? Any other ways to save money there, or no? No? Or you want to?
We could, if you would like me to look at anything in particular in terms of routes, walking distances.
Oh no, the bus woman.
Sorry.
Already went through that. Yeah.
Okay, just throwing it out there because it's always a big chunk of change, and some districts don't even offer it.
Yes.
So
And that's one of those funding sources. We receive no additional funding, COLAs, anything for that.
So I'm assuming we're looking at that very closely. Yeah. Okay. Since our buses keep getting hit anyways, what's the, Pete's sake?
On the PBIT, what is that 3 million number? What is that on that?
Oh, that's that column on the right-hand side. That's my totals by goal that tie back to the previous slide, to this one.
All right, well.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Jump on in.
Can I just make a comment on the issue with transportation? I think the more services we provide to get those kids to school, the better the attendance will be, and I just think we need to make that commitment to the kids.
And that's always been the thought process, that we need to get them to school. Yes.
Okay, Monica Merrill, you open it up to buses. If they're going to be buses, and we keep them or we replace them when the buses get hit. I didn't know this was happening. When we replace them, please remember my daughters. Okay, I've phrased this in the form of a question. Is it possible for you to possibly consider the story that I told you about my daughter feeling such empathy and compassion for the kid with the trombone who no longer has a place to put it above or below the bus when they're sitting 2 and 3 astride? Thank you.
Okay. Well, this has all been fun and games now, are we? This is just a discussion to be continued. Okay?
Actually,
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
On the current counselor ratios page, I guess it's page 16.
Yes.
I mean, I guess I just want to speak up and continue to advocate for reduction in the counselor ratio per student. And, you know, I don't think we need to necessarily do it all in 1 year. I think, you know, even if we made a commitment to slowly bring that ratio down, I mean, I'm not necessarily wed that it has to be 100 students. You know, I understand the budgetary pressures, but, you know, even if it's 25 students or 50 students per, and slowly get those ratios to where they should be, you know, I'm a strong proponent of that. So anyway, just wanted to throw that out.
And if I understood what our superintendent said, that it would be an incremental movement to improve our numbers. So maybe we could be looking at a change as small as 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just would hate to say, oh, we can't afford 100 student decrease, so therefore we're not going to do it. I'd rather, you know, find something that's more affordable if that's the concern, and slowly reduce it and try to, over a period of years, try to get it down to where it should be.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Crawford. Moving on to our next discussion item. I apologize, my iPad is timed out. First reading to Board Policy 3100, Budget. Board Policy 3260, Fees and Charges. Board Policy 3515.4, Recovery for Property Loss or Damage. These are all pretty routine updates. Did any board members have comments or questions on anyone from the public read over these policies and care to comment? Okay. Moving on. First reading, revision to Board Policy and Exhibit, Board Policy Charter School Oversight. Board Policy 0420, School Plan Site Council. Board Policy 5022, Student and Family Privacy Rights. Board Policy 5144, Discipline. Board Policy 6175, Migrant Education Program. And E0420.41, Charter School Oversight. Any questions or comments from the board on any of these policies? Again, pretty routine updates. Mr.
I have a comment on Board Policy 0420.41, Charter School Oversight. Third paragraph, where it says the superintendent or designee shall visit the charter school at least annually. I'd like to at least entertain the possibility of making that semi-annually, twice a year, or biennial, I guess biennially. Just once a year seems to be an awful long period of time in between visits.
And that makes sense. Is this something that we have the latitude to, we can change it ourselves? Or staff want to look into that and bring it back?
What page again was he on and what number?
That was the
Board Policy 0420.41. Correct. The first page, third paragraph.
If it's something that, Mr. Wilson has a microphone.
Okay, do you want to comment on that?
Sure. This is CSBA's recommended language in terms of the charter school that we have here. This says shall visit at least annually. I can assure you that we visit much more than annually in this situation. I mean, we aren't opposed to adding a more restrictive language into this that would require more visits, but I'm actually there's a reminder that we have another board policy and part of our charter oversight where we are on their board, which requires us to go out for each board meeting. So at the very least at this point, based on the other board policies that we have in place, I'm there a minimum of 4 times a year. And that doesn't count the direct supervision and oversight of our charter school principal that we have.
So, Mr. Reed, taking that language of at least once a year, and are you looking at it broader than just our approved charter school, if we had other ones in the district? Or
Yeah, it's setting the tone for any future charter schools that they understand that the superintendent will be visiting the school twice a year, is what I was looking for.
Does the at least once a year qualify? Is that enough? We could revisit it if there was ever a change in charter schools in the district.
We definitely could, and I understand Mr. Reed's wish to change it to biannually, assuming that we would get other charter schools in there. But right now, our other policies, because it is our dependent charter, already state that I will be, or the overseer of the charter will be there for every board meeting and in a supervisory role.
Does that meet your approval, Mr. Reed?
We can revisit it in the future. I still would love to see it biannually, but I'm not going to not vote for it if it remains where it is. So I'm fine either way.
Well, I wanted to chime in on that, and I had a question too, Curtis. Now, does that exclude board member visits, i.e. individually or as a site team visit?
Oh, not at all. But what this was doing was the change from the board and superintendent was basically saying, listen, we understand board members are sometimes busy and can't get out there once a year. That does not exclude you from going and visiting. So this was just freeing up some of the language to where you all weren't tied to having to go there every year, even though I know you all do visit.
Well, I wasn't reading it as we had to go out, but I mean, I'm just saying that.
It doesn't exclude you from going at all. Not at all. Nope.
All right.
Thank you. And that brings us to...
Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Hoover, do we have someone have a question? Oh, yes.
And maybe it's just my not understanding. Monica Merrill, in the BP 5022 student and family privacy rights, it includes that it would prohibit the collection of information regarding the citizenship or immigration status of students or their families.
Pretty standard.
And then at BP 6175, it's adding language encouraging the superintendent to annually report to the board regarding the performance of migrant students. I'm trying to figure out how they would know if they were migrant students if we're not supposed to collect that status. So I find it confusing.
Currently, we don't have any migrant students in our district, but we have this policy updated by CSBA, and we thought we should have it here as a placeholder. If you have a certain percentage of migrant students, it becomes another subgroup of students that the state asks us to look at. However, we're still not disclosing some of that privacy information that you see in 5022. So, yeah. And there's criteria that the state uses and the feds use to identify students that are eligible to be migrant ed students, and it's based on mobility and the type of work their parent is in and so forth. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Thank you. Staff has clear direction on that. First reading board policy, revisions to board bylaw 9323.2, actions by the board, and exhibit 9323.2, actions by the board. Any board members have comments or questions on either of these policies?
No.
Seeing no one? Anyone from the public? Okay. We'll see these items back next time. Reports to the Board of Education, Superintendent.
Yes, I just wanted to emphasize again the appreciation we have for those teachers that have gone above and beyond for their national board certification training. I mean, that takes a lot of time and effort and commitment on behalf of our teachers, and I appreciate Wendy Soul and her leadership in that, and all the teachers that have earned that additional certification. And it really is a prestigious recognition that so many of our teachers have, and that you don't see that in every district. So I commend them for that. I also want to commend Betty Jo Wessinger and all of the staff and students and parents that were appreciated and recognized last night at the Special Education CAC Awards. And it was a packed house here last night, and it was a great time to celebrate, again, many successes in our district and folks that just do this job because they love and they have passion for our students, and it came through loud and clear yesterday. And then lastly, I got to meet some of our wonderful young authors at 916 Inc. at Walnutwood last night as well. And these students have composed some beautiful poetry and prose that really is an outlet when we talk about ways for students to express themselves. Read some of this writing in the book that they published, and you'll see just amazing, beautiful words that portray students' feelings. And that was last night. So Jessica that Cisneros, who is our teacher that helps lead that, and Annie Conover did a great job with that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Myra, do you have any last comments before?
I just want to say that I will be very proud to say that I am a product of this district, and it was great having to be here with all you guys.
Thank you. Mr. Reed, do you have any comments this evening?
Sure. Well, first of all, I just want to express my appreciation for and your patience for me participating via teleconference this evening. And I will officially report that my hotel room door has been open the entire time with a public notice sign on the outside.
Sure.
And I will also officially report that there were no members of the public who came to Minnesota to participate.
Hey,
So,
okay.
I would also like to, on a separate issue, I would like to see if we could add to a future board agenda the issue of student use of cell phones, just for dialogue, and potentially if staff has any additional information. I watched a 2-hour ABC News special that aired on May 3rd. I think it was called Screen Time. It was a Diane Sawyer special. It just became available a few days ago online, and I would highly recommend that all the board members watch that. Without commercials, it should be less than 2 hours. But it really points to a crisis in our community, our students and adults for that matter. But specifically, they focus the special primarily on what is happening among our students with the use of screens and cell phones, from distraction and lack of focus in the classroom to low self-esteem to bullying and intimidation, to lack of ability to socialize with their peers, to reducing academic success. I don't know if there's an easy solution. It is the world we live in now. But I think as board members, I just feel that compelled that we should have a dialogue on it and just discuss the issue. So if there's any way we can get that agendized, if other board members would, I guess agree that it's an issue that should at least be discussed, I'd appreciate it. Thanks.
It is being worked on. So we will be following up with you on that. We'll call you on your cell phone with the information. Okay. Mr. Hoover.
Not much tonight. Just bye and thank you to Myra, and really looking forward to all the graduations, and summer is almost here. So.
Thank you. Mr. Short.
Not much. I just want to say thank you for Myra too, and looking forward to the graduations. And I do want to thank the recognition of the Cordova High Winter Groups. That's always great to see the recognition going on. As far as the budget, I will be going to see it Delegate Assembly this weekend. I'm sure I'm going to have an earful of 2 days of the governor's revising budget. So I'll bring back the next board meeting some, and I'm sure, Joanne, you're going to be there too.
This is the second year in a row it has been on a graduation weekend.
Well, so I will be there. So I'll be representing.
You represent.
I'll represent really well. So. I just want to take caution because I know how the governor's budgets always end up working out. I'm kind of apprehensive seeing, these potentials getting worse. So thank you for being optimistic this time. It doesn't look so bad, but I'm hopefully that we're still in the unknown of reduction. So I just want to make a caution to the board that we still should be conservative. That's all. Thank you.
Mr. Clark.
Yes, I guess I'm closing it out. Want to recognize those students that came tonight from your government class. I hope the meeting was meaningful and informational as well. So thank you for coming. Just wanted to recognize Annalise Tate from Cordova High School. She was one of the recipients of the Lee E. Clark Memorial Scholarship, and I look forward to presenting to both Folsom and Vista next week. Each student from the respective schools will get a little stipend for their college education. So I'm looking forward to presenting, and that is it.
Thank you. I just want to compliment Daniel for his post this weekend about setting limits on responding to emails. And it made me think that I hope all our employees do that. In my mind, we only have one employee who's on call 24 hours a day, and it's written in her contract. So I hope that all our employees set limits on when they are going to respond to emails. And I know it's not easy to step away from that. And as we move forward next year, when we're thinking about things we want to focus on, I'd like to focus on the well-being and mental health of our employees, and make sure that we are sending a strong message that we value your good health and good mental health. And I think that is about it. Have a great night. Good night. Meeting adjourned. Goodbye, David.
Bye, David.
See you.
Bye.
Just for the record.
I do want to take a picture with all you guys.
Okay,
with
so-
this.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
You want me to hold up the phone so it's David? No.
Yeah, I have it.
Okay.
You get to take your plaque too. Does she get to take, keep
don't
her
forget
name?
your plaque.
It's pretty permanent, isn't it?
All right, good luck. Hopefully your life's getting a little easier.
Oh, hey, yeah, we're almost there. The next board meeting, it might be over, I think.
Wow.
Right, June
I didn't
4th?
realize.
Yeah,
Time
so
was just flying by.
I'll be in such great well, one way or the other, I'll be more rested. So.
I gotta get our 5 ballots in before I get phone calls.
Congratulations to your son.
Oh,
Not fine.
That is a good
Congratulations.
point.